Weekend News is next. Another plane comes dangerously close to crashing into a Southland neighborhood. Gangs leave their deadly mark in two brutal killings, but the county may turn its back on a possible solution to the problem. We'll report. There's a turf war brewing out at the beach, and have you ever heard of cowpunk? We'll show you what it's all about. Coming up next, so stay with us.
This is the Weekend News for Sunday, April 5th, 1987.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marcia Brandwin. There were dropped jaws, raised eyebrows, and crossed fingers tonight as a very lucky pilot made a forced landing on a busy Compton street. Had this landing been attempted during midweek rush hour traffic, the story would probably have a much different ending. But at 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, the westbound lanes of Alondra Boulevard were relatively clear. When pilot Hector Aguilar's small plane lost power, he just wanted to land as quickly as possible. And land he did right next to a church. He walked away without a scratch, though, although his rented plane did not fare as well. And now it's up to the investigators to figure out exactly what happened. Well, lives are shattered as Southland gang violence once again takes its toll. Police are still trying to put together the pieces of a shooting on East Adams Boulevard. Gunfire erupted at a party there, and when the shooting stopped, one man was dead, at least 5 people injured, some seriously. And then in Hollywood, police are searching for 3 suspected gang members believed responsible for the murder of a 19-year-old. George Ubilis was with a group of friends at a nightclub when an argument between rival gangs broke out. Knives apparently flashed. Ubilis was stabbed in the neck. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but doctors say he never had a chance. Of course, gang warfare once ruled over an East LA neighborhood, but the streets have been remarkably calm of late. The reason is that young people there are being offered life-saving alternatives to gang membership. Well, the turnaround has been dramatic, but Tony Valdez tells us now that county budget cuts are threatening to shatter the peace.
There's no way to measure the tears that have been shed or the blood spilled over rivalries between gangs, but the body count tells the story well enough. A decade ago, there were 22 gang murders in the unincorporated area of East Los Angeles. Premature death was a fact of life. But last year, the death toll was just 4. Credit goes to a coalition of groups and a variety of projects. One of them made keeping the peace a matter of honor.
And we put together 5 gangs here in the East LA area to agree to enjoy more peaceful and enjoy a holiday season. Again, basing it on their palabra, their word, that they would give their word for their neighborhood, that, you know what, we would lay down our firearms and keep it cool and stay in our areas.
No one died during the truce. Throughout the rest of the year, community-based organizations worked from the inside out, in some cases giving youngsters the chance to meet people from vastly different backgrounds.
And sometimes they come back and they say, you know, those young people are talking about college and future, and we're over here just barely surviving. And they begin to ask questions.
The idea is to teach barrio kids that they do have choices.
Because they go in there at first and with a real mean, heavy expression, and by the time they get out of there, they're smiling, they're giggling, just acting their own age, and there's a tremendous change that comes about.
And the benefits of that change are reinforced by emphasizing competition in sports and education, instead of killing over grievances so old that no one remembers how or when they began. All this is backed by the knowledge that if they break the law or violate probation, they're going to jail. But parts of this life-saving effort may get the death sentence soon when the county tries to trim its budget. But don't the Board of Supervisors realize that if your group goes, it may mean more people will die?
I'm sure that they do realize this, and they have been staunch supporters of the program in the past, and God willing, and a couple of bucks coming our way, we'll continue to operate.
In this case, a couple of bucks is $2.3 million. Small change in a budget expected to total $7.5 billion bucks. In East Los Angeles, Tony Valdez, Channel 11 News.
It is a grim task. Divers tonight searching a New York State creek for bodies, victims who plunged to their deaths when a bridge collapsed. At least 2 cars and a tractor-trailer fell 80 feet when the span gave way on Interstate 90, 35 miles away from Albany. Rescue efforts have been hampered by swift running water in the creek, swollen by recent rains. So far, divers have not been able to determine how many bodies are trapped in the wreckage. 2 days of heavy rains apparently washed out the bridge's supports. 2 years ago, it underwent extensive repairs, and officials said it was given solid marks for safety at the time. Victims of a disastrous accident often require emergency transfusions, quickly using up emergency blood supplies. Shortages may result And that situation could be even worse here locally due to a strike by Red Cross nurses and technicians. These picketers are the people who normally draw blood from donors. They took to the streets today after rejecting management's latest proposal. The big question now, will blood reserves be drained by that work stoppage?
At the present time, we have a good blood supply of 17,000 units of blood in the system, which is double that which we had at the time of the shortfall at the holidays this past year. We anticipate that we will continue to be able to add to that supply as we draw blood out for the hospitals.
Strike issues range from pay hikes to increased staffing, and there is no word when negotiations are going to resume. Marcia?
Well, jazz great Buddy Rich was eulogized today as a man who did not fear death, but he did fear life without his drums. About 200 fans and friends of musicians turned out to pay their last respects to Rich, who died last Thursday. Many of the mourners were show business celebrities, among them Milton Berle and Mel Torme. Rich, who never had a music lesson, rose to fame playing with a number of big bands during the 1930s. He was often a guest on The Tonight Show, and today Johnny Carson, in a eulogy, thanked Rich for the memories and the music. And we have much more here as our weekend news continues. Our troubleshooter comes to the rescue of a widow who's being hot-wired out of her home. Lines are drawn for a bizarre battle off Cabrillo Beach, and we will show you why country is kicking and stomping its way into L.A.
These men are identical twins, but there's one big difference between them: their jobs. That's why this man can buy life and health insurance at lower cost than his brother, who does more hazardous work. Basing premiums on risk makes it possible to give you the fairest life and health insurance rates possible. It's a principle that works for us all. The lower your risk, the lower your premium.
Infusion 23 Pro Vitamin B5 hair treatment and shampoos. The beauty is it works. Get 50% more free in 24-ounce bonus sizes now at Bond's, the More Store.
Live tonight at 10:30, LA's first complete sports week in review with action-packed highlights from all the major sporting events. Sports Wrap, tonight at 10:30 on KTTV Los Angeles.
Something strange is going on in South Central L.A. Thieves are preying on apartment dwellers there, but they aren't your average burglars. These thieves are stealing electricity. And it was going to be lights out for a woman who fell victim to one of these energy bandits until she called our troubleshooter, Judd McElvain, for help.
Energy theft. It's not done with a gun or a mask, but Irma Watts will tell you the results are the same. Mrs. Watts, who's a widow with 3 children, called the troubleshooter for some help when her electric bill suddenly more than doubled.
Like I'm living on a fixed income of $533 a month, SSI, and to pay $276, it's going to kill me. I can't afford to pay it. And now I don't want to be sitting here without no lights because they due off the 31st of this month.
Mrs. Watts believes the people in apartment number 2 hired someone to connect her electric meter to their apartment and stole her electricity. I took representatives from the Department of Water and Power with me to look into this alleged theft.
And what they would do would take the wire and run it from this side here to this side and energize this side of it for themselves.
It appears someone hooked up to Mrs. Watts' power and stole about $270 in electricity over a 4-month period. Now the bad news. Under the law, Mrs. Watts has to pay for the stolen energy. Her electricity was set to be cut off at the end of March. But that's when I asked the DWP for some help for this widow on a fixed income. The DWP responded immediately.
And we'll put it on a separate billing coupon so that there will be no shut-off of electricity. In other words, she can go right ahead and keep paying her regular bills and then pay the surplus that accrued on the side.
Hey, I thank you for that because it'd be hell living without any lights. And I have a baby in the house and everything, you know, I couldn't deal with that.
DWP officials say if you think someone's stealing your electricity, call them and they'll check. But you're going to have to pay the bill. Judd McElvain, Channel 11 News.
North of the border, President Reagan is done with the ceremonial chores and now will turn to the nuts and bolts of his 2-day Canadian summit meeting. The president arrived in Ottawa today and got a cordial greeting from Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. The two leaders will get down to a major issue tomorrow, acid rain. The Canadians want more of a commitment from Washington, aside from the $2.5 billion cleanup pledge over the next 5 years. Another touchy issue the two will deal with, free trade. Both nations face an October deadline for submitting a free trade agreement to Congress. Closer to home, perhaps a summit is what's needed to end a war that is being waged in the waters off of Cabrillo Beach. Channel 11's Larry Atterbury tells us the popular recreational area is being turned into a territorial battleground.
Take a group of jet skiers, combine them with windsurfers from the nearby Cabrillo Beach, mix with heavy boat traffic, and you have a combination that could be lethal.
This whole area is called Hurricane Gulch because, as you can see, there's plenty of wind. But the water is relatively calm, which makes it excellent both for jet skiing and for windsurfing.
The area was fairly open today, but come Easter break or a hot summer day with hundreds of jets and sails, and you could have a nautical sig alert. At the moment, neither side is willing to yield.
We're willing to share this beach here so that we're able to stay in close with our beginners and their beginners, and they just, at the point right now, just don't want to share.
I think they have to be separated. It's just like an oil and water, to my estimation.
The Harbor Department has proposed one plan to push the jet skiers farther out in the bay, but that was rejected as unsafe because it might interfere with larger ships. Both sides blame each other.
These are 40-mile-an-hour machines, oftentimes in the hand of 12-year-olds.
The biggest problem we have now is with beginner windsurfers, which have a problem with this type of a wind that we have today of being able to function in the wind.
No decision yet on what to do. The Harbor Department says it is studying the problem. It could ban both groups. Or maybe there's room for everybody.
I think it's a matter of both the jet skiers and the windsurfers policing themselves and being courteous and observing the rules of the road.
But for the moment, the territorial fight continues. At Cabrillo Beach, I'm Larry Atterbury, Channel 11 News.
Well, when country music comes to L.A., L.A. goes country. New stars and old favorites drew thousands to the L.A. Country Scene Festival today, and Pat Riddle was among them.
Country was definitely cool in L.A. this weekend. The first country scene celebration brought more than 150,000 people to the Hanson Dam Recreation Area in the San Fernando Valley.
You don't see any surfboards and shorts and fancy sunglasses out here at the country scene today. Oh, no. This is the order of the day. Cowboy hats and cowboy boots.
And the fun here was a family affair. The police reported no serious incidents like the violence-marred downtown street scene. This crowd was decidedly country Southern California style, laid back, soaking up the sun.
Well, I think the people out here have been so mannerly and everything is run so well and organized, and it's just been a grand time.
I flew all the way from Fort Worth just to see this show.
It's been ran really great. It's family orientated, and that's one of the best things for it.
While the crowd was grinning, the sponsors were picking. The dates, that is, for next year's country scene in L.A. Pat Riddle, Channel 11 News.
And we sent the right reporter to that story, didn't we? Coming up as our weekend news continues, Rick Monday will be here with sizzling highlights of the Long Beach Grand Prix and see what Fox Television plans to unveil next.
All my men wear pantyhose, but they wear nothing at all.
Well, the play stuff is finally over. Tomorrow we start eating the real hot dogs with the real mustard and the sauerkraut.
We may have to wait for a while because the Dodgers will be out of town, but I promise this year I'll bring some back for you, Marcia. You know, the Dodgers, their final 24-man roster is now all set. They decided to keep all 11 pitchers, and at the same time, they purchased the contract of Mike Ramsey. Now, they also had to cut 3 players, Jose Gonzalez, Jeff Hamilton, and Reggie Williams. This all took place right after they lost to the Angels for the 3rd straight day. The Dodgers, however, jumped on the board first. In the second, Pedro Guerrero blasted a solo shot off Kirk McCaskill, and the Dodgers had a 1-0 lead, but that would be it for the day, folks. Now in the 3rd inning coming up, Brian Downing rips an opposite field single, scoring Mark McLemore, and it was tied up at 1 apiece. That stays that way until the 9th inning, when Gary Pettis lays down the perfect squeeze bunt, allowing Dick Schofield to score the game winner as the Angels beat the Dodgers 2-1. Well, what more can you say about the L.A. Lakers? Well, today in Denver, they won their 3rd straight road game and 60th of the season. Magic Johnson got things going in the first half. He flings a bounce pass to James Worthy, who lays in the finger roll, and the Lakers led at the half, 55-47. Then more of the Magic in the second half. He takes the feed from Worthy, throws home the slam dunk. Magic with 23 on the night. The Lakers beat Denver 126-118. Once a year, the city of Long Beach closes off the streets for the traditional Long Beach Grand Prix, and today was the day that it all took place. Leading from start to finish, Mario Andretti in his number 5 car captured his 3rd race in 4 years. Remember, last year his son Michael won the event, so this year, well, it was Pop's turn again. Andretti in his Chevrolet-powered Lola lapped the field twice before the end and finished 1 lap ahead of Al Unser Jr. Andretti, for winning, takes home a cool $97,000. Also out at Rancho Mirage today, Betsy King took the Dinah Shore Invitational, beating Patty Sheehan on the 2nd hole of sudden death play. King will pocket some $80,000, the richest payoff in the LPGA Tour. And Scott Simpson captured the Greater Greensboro Open in North Carolina, beating up on Clarence Rose by 2 strokes in that one. So tomorrow we go officially. Dodger baseball will start for real in Houston. Then on Tuesday night, the Angels will entertain the Seattle Mariners at the Big A. So all the practice is gone. It's for real now. They all count. So let's tee it up and hit it.
If early season indications are of any value, the Dodgers have a little work to do, and the Angels look strong.
They have some work. Both ball clubs right now are healthy for the most part, and that's the big plus for them.
All right. Okay, Rick, thank you very much. As many of you may know, and as you may have seen tonight, Fox Television debuted its primetime programming right on this station. Now, in the weeks ahead, even more shows will be hitting the airwaves, and Channel 11's Mary Ruth Carlton has a look ahead to next week.
I'm going to cut you a lesson now, boy.
21 Jump Street. Baby-faced undercover cops infiltrating high school. Knocking down drug deals, intimidating young toughs, rolling through hip nightlife, and getting seduced by the pleasures of those teenage years.
Lucky girl.
Who?
Your girlfriend. You're a great kisser.
Yeah, well, I didn't want you to go through life without at least one, you know.
Hey, pal, that's my girlfriend. Lucky guy, she's a great kisser.
Jump Street stars Johnny Depp, fresh from his role as a sensitive recruit in the award-winning movie Platoon. Dustin Iaggi, Peter DeLuise, and Holly Robinson are his partners in crime fighting. Jump Street is based on a real-life police undercover operation.
All my men wear pantyhose, but they wear nothing at all. That's okay, honey. My people don't do that anymore.
Oh.
21 Jump Street, action-adventure from the creators of Hunter and the A-Team. It starts next Sunday night as Fox Broadcasting continues its venture into prime-time programming. In Los Angeles, Mary Ruth Carlton, Channel 11 News.
And still ahead, Steve Rambo will show us what Mother Nature was brewing or has brewing for the coming week. And we'll show you why this lady could change the face of rock and roll. So it's time for the weather, and if I were to guess around here, with nobody doing any of the air conditioning around here tonight, this feels like summertime on the weekend.
It does,
like
doesn't it? It does. But I was out there earlier this morning, and it is not here yet. Was down on the beach. I want to tell you, if you need your T-shirt on, it's not quite summer yet, but it's on the way. We're going to give you some cooler temperatures for the first part of the week. We're going to warm it up for you on Thursday and Friday. Hopefully next weekend will look good. Now, we can't see all the way to next weekend, but we can see through Friday. Looks pretty good. Some clouds on Tuesday. Here are the details for you, starting with outside. Back to the Country Music Festival. Look at this. This is like a scene out of the Twilight Zone or something. These folks are walking home. It is a dusty trail that they're going to follow. And as we take our temperatures this evening, here you go. 57 degrees at Civic Center. I guess dusty and country music and the trail, that all goes together, huh? 56 at LAX, 57 at Long Beach, 59 at Burbank and San Diego, and a 58 at Santa Ana. Here's your daytime extremes. A high of 70. See, not quite summer, but definitely spring. A low of 50. No rain in the gauge. Here's the latest systems affecting our weather. It's a high off the south of San Diego, a low just beginning to move into the Seattle area. Winds flow from high pressure to low pressure, so we're seeing a little bit of an onshore flow. That means some cooler days and some afternoon haze, but that's about it. We will get a few clouds coming into the picture, too. In the early morning hours, we'll see some low clouds down along the coastal sections. They'll burn off in the afternoon, then it'll give us that sunny, hazy afternoon sky. And then Monday evening, a weak trough line is going to pass on through the state, and that's going to continue the marine influence, and we're going to see more haze come in for late Monday and into Tuesday. so much so that Tuesday we may not be able to burn off those clouds. Here's the latest satellite photo. There's the little high, here's the low, there's a front attached to it. The front's going to fall apart as it moves into the state, and that's why we don't have a front passing through tomorrow, but actually a trough line, just a little bit of a wind shift line, going to bring a little more of this marine haze on shore. Then the high pressure will roll in after the front passes by, and that's what's going to make the mid part of the week pretty good for us. Around the rest of the country, the weather has been relatively mild east or west of the Mississippi River. Some snow showers throughout the Rockies of Colorado and New Mexico into western Texas, the panhandle sections of that state and Oklahoma, and some light rain showers across South Texas. Very light scattered rain up across the northwest, not enough to spoil the day, and flooding that you would not believe across the New England states. All the rain, you saw the bridge washed out in New York, 26 inches of snow in West Virginia last night, and the big chill continues in the south. 25 record lows this morning. As we go to the 5 mini climates, here's what's in store for us. We've been on a roll, and we're going to continue on a roll with this fair weather. A high of 71 tomorrow, a low of 50. The fair weather streak, as I say, will continue. A low of 46 in the valleys and a high of 71. We'll get some clouds on Tuesday, though, but we'll rebound quickly on Wednesday. Beachy keen weather through the weekend on the beaches. Slow to clear on Tuesday. Fairly windy in the mountains, a high of 50 degrees, and the deserts, high clouds sliding in. The temperature ranges 80 in the southern desert and 70 in the northern desert. There you go.
Steve Rambo was unhappy because he couldn't take his T-shirt off at the beach. Did you hear him say that?
I didn't say I was unhappy. I said you needed to be more comfortable, that's all.
Okay.
Okay.
And they're causing trouble at the beach. I know you were.
So what do you call a combination of punk and country and rock and roll? Some people are calling it cowpunk, but our music reporter Brian Byrne has a profile of a young Canadian performer who prefers to call it torch and twang.
Katie Lang is a major new talent who combines traditional country music with the raw beat and attitude of 80s rock and roll. She does it all from blues ballads, polkas, to western swing.
When I started falling in love with music, country music, I had a problem with knowing exactly what I wanted to do with it, because I knew I wanted to perform it, but I just felt a little uneasy about how I was going to approach it. When I really started listening to Patsy Cline, I realized that I could sing country music incorporating blues and bebop and soul into country music, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. And she was a strong woman for her time, and that just all fit with me.
Her first album, Angel with a Lariat, is just out, produced by Dave Edmonds, who's worked with everybody from the Everly Brothers to Paul McCartney. In the 50s, artists like Bill Haley and Elvis Presley started rock and roll by combining country western with rhythm and blues. Now, more than 30 years later, Katie Lang is trying that formula with a whole new twist. Brian Byrne, Channel 11 News.
That's nice, huh?
I like it.
Well, we're out of time. That's it for this edition of the Weekend News. We will be back tomorrow night at our regular time, 8 o'clock.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, and please stay tuned for Sports Wrap with Rick Garcia coming up next.
Good night.